Good afternoon from Finland and a warm welcome to everyone joining us globally. It's always impressive to see how this technology brings people together from different parts of the world. So thank you for joining us today. We are today excited to share our latest insights specifically on automotive industry. But even if you're joining from some other industry, we hope that you will leave the session with some new learnings and new ideas for your business. We will be recording this session, and the recording will be made available also for all of you joining the session. There will also be a Q&A tool available in Zoom that you can use any time during the presentation. And please fill it with the questions. We should have plenty of time at the end of the session to answer those today. My name is Miika Pylvanainen, and I'm leading our main R&D side here in Finland and product management globally at BeyondTag, been part of RFID family for about 2 decades. And I have a pleasure to also introduce my colleague Abdallah to join this webinar with me today.
Thank you, Miika. Also from my side, a warm welcome to everyone joining this our webinar today. My name is Abdallah. I'm sales manager at BeyondTag, supporting or responsible for DACH and Middle East region. And in this webinar today, as Miika mentioned, we'll be talking specifically about automotive, the automotive market and industry. But before jumping into that, I would like to share with you some short information or introduction about our company, BeyondTag, because for sure, for some of you, BeyondTag still a new, let's say, or not known. After that, I will share a little bit of our insight on the automotive market landscape. What are the challenges facing this market? What are transformations challenges market? And basically, in the next point, how some of our customers has replied or answered those challenges. So what are the use cases? What are the applications that can support basically answering some of those questions. And finally, we will be having a short deep dive, technology deep dive, and giving you overview about our product portfolio. This is really important for some of you who are new in this domain because it kind of give, let's say, you a guideline or a guideline how to navigate through those different product families and products if you want to really start a new projects in RFID or BLE. And finally, we will have a Q&A session. We'll be answering your question put in the Q&A section. So please, whatever question you have during the presentation, just put it in the Q&A section. I will go through it at the end of this meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, so without further ado, we will start with some general information about the company. So BeyondTag is a leading group focusing on solutions around label and graphic materials as well as IoT enablers. So basically into that, we are building solutions around providing identification and digital transformations to our customer businesses in the most sustainable way. And really here, the emphasis is on the most sustainable way. We are having activities and an effort regularly to build up a sustainable operations around our facilities as well as sustainable products. So we are really looking at this as an entirety, and we want to be a sustainable company now and moving forward. Looking at BeyondTag as a group, we consist on 2 different business units in total. So 2 business unit, one for digital transformation enabler, and one for graphic label materials. In total, we have around 2,000 employees. We, as a group, BeyondTech is more than 4 years existing on the market, whereas the business unit around digital IoT transformation is 25 plus years on the market as well. Our products are present in more than 60 countries. We have 5 R&D centers globally and 9 industrial facilities. Now, if you zoom in from the global, let's say, BeyondTech group to the specific business unit focusing on global digital transformation and IoT enabler, we are looking here at 5 production facilities globally, in Brazil, in the US, in Finland, in Italy, and China. So in each of those facilities are, let's say, specified or specialized in certain product line or product family. But we have also synergies where we have basically certain product families or products that are acquired in each of those regions. We have duplication in multiple basically facilities. What we don't see here is basically also the multiple sales facilities and locations globally that we are. So we have global basically presence. We have sales persons located or available in each of those regions to support our customers, in most cases locally. Now, if we zoom further in, so now we're zooming from the TTE as a business unit to basically to the part where we are talking more specifically about our engagement in the automotive business with our customers. We can really say that we have more than 20 years experience on the market supporting our customers in the automotive business, building products around their use cases and their applications, basically to support their journey into digitalization and basically improving their processes. For those specific products, we have so we are building those products in 5 productions locations. We have global capacity of more than 5 billion tags globally, and we have basically a certain number of product in our standard global portfolio in the range of 90 plus product as of today. However, I wanna make here a very emphasize on the customized product that we do or the projects that we do, which is in the range of 2,000 projects. And here I wanna really pause and just mention that this is one of our key differentiator compared to our vendors on the market to really support our customers with customization and as well as a development of a new product if the project and the requirement requires a new product development. So here we are really working with our customers to cover all their needs in their specific use cases. And for sure, we're talking here about automotive, but we also are active in many other verticals on the market to support the industry in general. What we do is we build solutions and products around 3 main, let's say, categories or technologies. UHF or RAIN RFID, which is basically the frequency focused on long range, let's say, tracking or distance tracking. NFC, which is basically the opposite of that, near field communication, where we basically have a closer or shorter reach range than UHF, and as well as BLE. For all 3 categories or products families, we are having a wide product range supporting different use cases and applications, let's say from the simple label part tagging up to the most complex and robust and demanding applications, let's say in industry or in logistics, etc. All right, now jumping into the specific topic of today, which is the automotive market. In the first slide, we will see basically what are the challenges drive basically our transformation, which is undergoing in the automotive industry. For sure, the very first point is something that it's around us all the time, where we see in the news and everywhere, which is the electrification, right? So there is a great push to have more electrified cars or vehicles on the market. There is more push to have CO2 reduction, whether on the user side or even on the supply chain side. So here we see a lot of movement, a lot of pressure, which is also affecting widely the automotive industry. Another great fundamental transformation that we see is basically autonomous driving and software-driven vehicles, which is adding a huge level of complexity to build up processes, to build up basically the engineering processes, the production processes, and also to build up the lifecycle operation. So this is another layer on complexity added to the automotive industry, and they have basically to deal with this challenge now and moving forward. Finally, we see also from the business side a shift from selling only cars to basically having mobility as a service, which we see also all around us, car sharing and all type of different models for vehicle and fleet management. And here as well, there is demand and solutions required to build up those services, like how I can build up or offer my customers the best user experience, and how I can also track my fleet and manage my fleet in the best way. Now, those transformations are basically demanding or pushing the customer to go into a specific or to have some specific challenges, which we are seeing in the next slide. Again, so this is not a one-to-one, basically, the result of those transformation or challenges, but it gives a sense which are the pressure point that the customer is experiencing during this transformation. And one of the most relevant one and important one is really to have a transparent supply chain. Again, we see it everywhere. Geopolitical situations adding also another layer on that. And making this even more important. So which means here we need solution, we need processes that allow our customers generally to build up a more resilient and robust supply chain. Product digitalization going around basically the complex processes or the complex products that are required. Those complex product require as well improvement of processes, building digital processes to make the entire basically development and evaluation from product from end to end easy and more effective. Also here there's a huge demand for digitalization entire processes or part of those processes to make sure that the customer or the end user is supported with that. And last but not least, as an answer or result to the mobility as a service demand, there is also here need to have an answer to that, basically how to build up a marketplace, how I can manage my fleet, how I can manage the return, how I can manage the entire life cycle, including maintenance, including selling, returning, etc. So this is also all type of challenges that we see and where our customers are precious basically to answer. Next slide, please. So now in the next slides, basically we are sharing real life applications, use cases based on our engagement with the automotive customers that answers for sure not all of those challenges that we experience, but it gives them an idea about what to do and how to do it, basically to tackle those challenges. And with that, I will hand over to my colleague Miika, who will guide you basically through those different applications and give you the different nuances of how to answer different challenges in the market. To you, Miika.
Thank you, Abdallah. I think we can all agree that RFID and BLE we have a lot to offer when it comes to these trends that Abdallah described in the automotive industry. And as he mentioned, next we will take a look on some of the key applications that we have seen mainly used in automotive, and those are here. We will go them through some real use cases still later on, but in a nutshell, first we have supply chain and container management, meaning tracking returnable containers or single-use disposable packaging along the whole supply chain. And then parts tracking, materials tracking, and parts from prototype parts into the mass production parts. Production control, which is of course quite broad application and can extend from production tool tracking, such as molds, to a whole vehicle body tracking and automated assembly processes. Then we have distribution, which is the outbound of finished cars, basically. Lifecycle and mobility services, meaning after-sales use cases. I would say automated toll collection and NFC authenticated EV charging, for example. Those are some examples of this use case. And then we have separated tire tracking as a separate application, as it's such a big topic currently in the RFID industry. And even though it's kind of a parts tracking, it is still a bit different than other parts we are tagging. So we will take a look on why some companies are actually tracking tires today. But before we jump into those use cases, I would like to introduce our first poll of the session. And you should very soon see a window popping up to give you a vote. And you can pick one or more of these. We would like to learn a bit what have been the applications you have worked with, or what are the applications you are looking to implement maybe in the future. Supply chain, container management, parts tracking, production control, distribution, lifecycle, mobility services, tires, or maybe something totally else. And I will give you a bit more time to pick your applications there. I think you all have been able to do that for now. So let's see what are the results. And we should all see the results right now. This is interesting in a way that pretty much all of the applications that we described, they are surprisingly evenly represented in the results. It's not a surprise that supply chain and container management, and parts tracking, production control, these are kind of top three. I think those are the ones that we have seen mostly used by our automotive customer base. And we will also take a look specifically on those during this webinar. Perfect, thank you. So let's start with the one that you voted being the most common application in automotive space. Container management. This is something that I would say most, if not all, at least most car manufacturers, they utilize in some form already today. Goodbag is the world's largest provider of this kind of reusable, intelligent metal containers, or bulk containers, IBCs, like they call them, that you see in the picture. They are operating globally through over 400 warehouses and 5,000 locations, supplying these RTI services for automotive companies, tire industry. They supply a lot of raw rubber in these containers, for example, but also chemicals and many other industries. And they have tagged more than 5 million of these metallic containers with a tag that is also shown here in the picture. This is a real photo from the real container there. I would say that this is pretty standard and well-proven RFID use case. Automated verification of inbound and outbound of containers. Much faster and more reliable compared to any kind of manual bookkeeping that companies used to do. On the photo of the tag, we also see laser engraved barcode there. And this is something many customers are still asking. It's not kind of a backup of RFID or anything like that, but for example, with Goodback, if you think about those 5,000 locations they have, not every one of those are equipped with RFID. There can be a location that use one container a week, and it makes no sense for them to invest into RFID infrastructure. So they can still have an access to the same data, but just with the legacy barcode format. And this is something we do quite a lot for our customers as a service. There was a study made in automotive industry that 14% of the annual budget for RTIs, returnable transport items, is used to replace missing RTIs. And the cost of that is going up to 1.4 billion USD. So I think we can all agree that there is a need for transparency in the container management there. Now, if we extend a bit from containers only to the whole supply chain in automotive, the supply chain in automotive is, let's say, it's very tailored for just-in-time deliveries. Automotive is very well known for kind of a very efficient logistics processes, real-time visibility, inventory accuracy, big words in the industry. Knowing where your parts are and when will they arrive. On the other hand, preventing them to arrive too soon, which is also an important part of the production control or manufacturing processes. Here we have a product called eKanban in the photo above, and this is used by a German OEM for those reasons that I mentioned: improved inventory control and just-in-time deliveries. Traditional Kanban systems, they have been there already for 70 years or so, very long. But with eKanban, we are just RFID enabling those already standardized Kanban cards. The product on the bottom, on the other hand, is called Steelware Classic. And this is another very popular product within automotive industry. One benefit of this tag is that it works equally well on any surface. So customer, you can use the same tag on plastic boxes, metallic containers, which actually it makes the tagging process a bit more simplified, while you still get like 20 meters of read range, 60 feet of read range on any of those surface materials. Honda is using RFID to track their engines by tracking the engine racks. Again, we come back to the mitigating shipping errors. Shipping an engine to wrong location, as you can imagine, is rather expensive mistake. But with RFID, they were able to pretty much mitigate all of those shipping errors altogether. With such use case, the ROI of implementing RFID is rather easy to calculate based on the known shipping errors. You have some data available, so you can go back, you can see how much could we save if we could mitigate the shipping errors, and then make your ROI calculations on that data. Worker safety is also very important in any manufacturing environment, and having more automation, it often improves safety. And for example, in this case, Honda was able to avoid any operators to jump off the forklift to check the items shipped, but they could just stay on board while the check was made automatically. This may sound like a small thing, but it actually directly reduced the accidents at the manufacturing plants. So there's also benefits that you might not that easily realize before you actually implement RFID and more automation through that. Volvo is using RFID to track every single car they produce. And what is actually quite cool here is that the tag is the very first component they actually attach on the car body. And it acts as the ID of the car throughout the whole manufacturing process, including the electrolyte baths and drying ovens of about 200 or so Celsius degrees. We have been developing these high temperature tags with Volvo now for more than a decade and gone through several product variations to find a solution that actually was at the end able to meet the target of 99.96% of reading accuracy in the production. And you can just imagine how expensive it is if the car manufacturing production line stops because the tag is not readable. So you really want to ensure that the reliability is there. Volvo is saying that the tag is not just an idea of a car, which it is, but it actually steers the whole production. So when a car comes to a certain assembly point, the robots know which color of a part should be installed into this specific car. Nowadays, when you order a new car, you can pick this, you can pick that, you can change the color of that part. So every car is a bit, let's say, personalized, and there's a lot of variations. So you need this kind of a flexibility for production line, and you can achieve that with RFID. Now, talking about manufacturing environment, quality is also something that I want to point out. There are a lot of legal requirements related to the car assembly. For example, to ensure certain safety critical parts are installed correctly. And here RFID is also a great tool, as you can automate a lot of this quality documentation also. As an example, we have made a RFID clip for airbags that read only when it's properly closed. And that is mandatory to check that airbags are properly closed for or attached for an obvious reason. But with RFID, it's just more efficient to make that quality check. Just read them and you can confirm that, okay, all these clips were properly closed because I was able to read them. More efficient than doing that manually. One example company using RFID for car distribution is Ford. They are attaching RFID label on the vehicle window already at the production line. The tag is then read at every step after that. The point the car is leaving the production line, at the gates of any test drives they will do for the cars, the waiting area of cars, and finally then at the point of distribution, which can be a truck full of cars, and all those can be read automatically with RFID when the truck leaves the premises. The product here had also some specific requirements because of the performance needed to be able to read the full truck full of cars. But also materials, as the tag, as you can imagine, it cannot leave any residues on the window when it's removed at the point of sales. But on the other hand, it does have to adhere well enough to withstand all the outdoor environments it goes through during the distribution. And also here we come back to kind of where we started, inbound, and in this case specifically the outbound logistics, but not containers, but of finished cars. Inbound, outbound logistics, that's a very common use case of RFID in automotive industry. As said, tire tracking is an application that we wanted to specifically raise here, as it is getting a lot of attention right now, as some of you may have heard. There are several different use cases related to tire tracking. First, of course, the production optimization of the tire manufacturer itself. This is quite obvious. But also the vehicle manufacturers. There are some manufacturers already today that require RFID from tires that they use in their production. And they do this for production control to ensure, for example, that correct tire is installed on a correct location. with EVs today, the front and back tires, they can be a bit different because of the weight balance of the car. So with RFID, you can make automatic check that, okay, now I have a right tires in right location. Inventory management for all parties throughout the whole tire supply chain. Tire leasing companies can also improve their processes with RFID-enabled tires. They can, for example, ensure that they got the same tire back which they leased, which actually is maybe not a problem in Finland, but there are countries that it is a problem that you get a leased tire or leased truck back with a different tire than what it was leased with. So with RFID, you can automatically check that you got the same tire back that left your premises. The big part of tire sales has also went online over the past few years, so having RFID, it would also benefit all those online stores. Tires are also going to be part of the first wave of items included in the Digital Product Passport, DPP. And RFID is pretty obvious data carrier for those. When you think about tires, there's just no other technology that would provide the same readability and especially the durability during the whole life cycle of a tire. Not just at the beginning, but also after maybe a few retreading cycles, still at the point of recycling, you can get the idea of the tire. Next, we will dive a bit into few selected topics when it comes to the technology selection, and we will also look, like Abdallah mentioned, on our product portfolio, but very on a high level. There's too many products to cover them in details, but we will take a look what we have. But again, before we jump into the topic, I would like to hear if you are able to identify some of the challenges you may have seen while implementing either RFID or BLE technologies in your business. And you see the options now, and you can again pick one or more of these: installation process, durability of the tag attachment or adhesion, memory. Have you had issues with the amount of memory, RF performance, how far the tag is readable, cost of tags, tag lifetime? Are you suffering that the tags are broken earlier than what you need them to be? Size of tags. Have you found correct size of tags for your project? Or something else? And if it's something else, you can also drop some comment into the Q&A box. I will give you a second to answer. And then we should be able to see the results in a second. And here they are. Top 3: cost of tags, RF performance, durability of attachment, adhesion, and then installation process is pretty close. I think these are also quite expected results. Cost of tags is something that is always very important. That's something that we always seriously consider when we design a product, that we don't over-engineer them. They need to be fit for purpose and not something that would survive environment that they are not meant to be used in. And that's also one of the reasons why we have so many products in our catalog. Some of them are just more cost engineered for different kind of environments than the others. RF performance, the tag performance has increased a lot over the last 10, 20 years. And while the performance is increased, I think this also gives us some options to reduce the size of the tag while keeping the same performance. Durability of tag attachment. That's also another reason why we have so many products. There's a lot of different kind of attachment options when it comes to our portfolio. Okay, very good. All of them got some votes. So some of you have been struggling with each of these topics. Let's jump to the next slide. And I know this is pretty data heavy slide, but as mentioned, we will share this with you. So if you want to dive deeper, you will also have access to this material afterwards. Abdallah already mentioned the technologies that we have in our portfolio, but how do they differ? NFC, RAIN, RFID, BLE, how do they differ? There are, of course, a lot of differences between them, and I'm not going to go through the whole table here, but I want us to focus specifically on the very last line of the table. Why would you choose one technology over the other? This is something you need to consider when you are planning a project with RFID or BLE. NFC often comes to play when you need to improve customer engagement, improve customer experience. You just tap an item with few centimeters of read range using a mobile phone, and you get the information if the item is unique or not. Luxury segment is also a good example of that. You just tap a Gucci bag and you know if it's a Gucci bag or not. With RAIN RFID, we are not quite there yet. We will be in the future, but not today. And then RAIN RFID, which by the way sometimes go by UHF RFID, indicating the frequency band it uses, but they are the same thing. UHF, RAIN RFID, same technology. RAIN we most commonly use in high volume applications where the reading speed is crucial. While NFC, you usually read one by one, tapping the tag, then you tap the next tag. In RAIN, you can read hundreds of tags in a second. And retail, logistics, manufacturing, tires, these are other industries that are heavy users of RAIN technology. And also in this presentation, the use cases that we went through so far, they were all utilizing RAIN RFID. BLE is then adding some more features to a product. As an active technology, you can get read range of up to 200 meters or even more, which means that you don't need that dense reader infrastructure to cover a bigger area. You also can build very different kind of applications for locationing. We have a lot of manufacturing companies tracking their containers also with BLE because they want to know with accuracy of some meters where those containers are and when, which is from infrastructure point of view easier to achieve with BLE than with RAIN RFID. Okay, so now you have an idea that which technology should you go with, but what else needs to be considered? Size is often quite crucial, of course, if you're tagging smaller car parts. With containers, you may have some cavity you want to install tag into for better protection. It's also good that you understand that, especially with RAIN RFID, the size and read range, they go hand in hand. Bigger the tag, longer the read range. Then we have environment. If tag would get a lot of mechanical impacts, then this is something you need to consider. We have tags that you can drive over with a car in case you need some mechanical protection. Also, surface is important. For metallic surfaces, you would generally need a different tag than for plastics. There are some like the one that I mentioned, Steel Classic, that works on everywhere, but generally you would use a different tag for metal than other surfaces. Read range is pretty self-explanatory, how far you can read the tag. Attachment method. As I said earlier, this is one of the reasons that we have 90 tags in our public portfolio and a lot more under the table. There are a lot of different kind of attachment methods used by our customers. You have adhesives, epoxies, magnets, welding, zip ties, rivets. There's a lot of different kind of attachment methods that we support. And then last we have pointed out here is printer and applicator compliance. This is something you need to consider if you plan to print those label type of tags and apply automatically with an applicator, which is something a lot of our automotive customers do. And we can also, of course, help you with any questions on that process. And one more product consideration, should I use hard tag or label type of tag? Both of them can work on any surface, but the biggest question here is the environment. Will the tag get some mechanical impacts during its lifetime? If it does, then hard tag is the way to go. If you think about containers, for example, quite often they get smashed to each other, which would mean that hard tag could be a better choice. Sometimes you find a cavity in a container and then you can put a label there and it survives just as well. The downside of hard tag is that it's a bit more manual. It has a bit more manual encoding and visual printing marking process, but we can do that for you, like I mentioned in the Goodback case. But if you need to do it on site by yourself, then label, it would of course be more easier to handle, as you can just print and encode with RFID printers and it's good to go. Hard tags are more like handled by one manner when it comes to encoding or visual marking. Now, nobody would remember those 90 products we carry in our public portfolio. So we have organized them into these product families to make it a bit easier for you. Each one of these families have something unique, and I will just very briefly go them through here. All of them, they have several products inside the family, and we can, after the webinar, dive deeper if you need some help there. Ironside is kind of a synonym for hard tag in RFID industry. If you need a field-proven, durable hard tag for metallic items, go with the Ironside family. Steel wave tags are also designed for metallic items, but with a bit less of a robustness, but also more versatility. Is that a word, versatility? In terms of form factor or attachment methods. If Ironside is a synonym for hard tags, then I would say Silverline is that for on-metal labels. This is our industry-leading on-metal label family with best materials and performance. Silverline is available exclusively through our partner Zebra Technologies. The reason to choose a tag from heatwave family would be temperature. I don't see any other feasible reason to go for that family unless you have very high temperatures. If you need something even up to 250 Celsius, close to 500 Fahrenheit, then heatwave is the family to go. I had a Volvo use case earlier. They are using a heatwave product. Carrier is our family for washable tags for plastic, returnable transport items, boxes, pallets. Someone or a couple of you highlighted the cost as one of the challenge. Ferrowave is more cost optimized for high volume on metal label applications. And within automotive industry, this could be, for example, parts tracking as an application. You don't need to track parts for years. You just need to track them for a short period of the logistics. And for that, Ferrowave is a good option. Viking is a family for our industrial grade BLE products. We also have extensive offering of standard UHF and NFC inlays, as well as our own Eco family of paper-based products. And those are all good options for disposable packaging, which is also very, very common application in automotive industry. On the right, you see Design Studio. This is our service for tailor-made products. Customization is quite deep, I would say, in our DNA. That's the reason why there's 2,000 something products made over the years. And if you don't find a product from our public offering, it's possible that we have still made it as part of our design studio service. So if you don't find a product, please reach out to check if we still have something that could meet your requirements. And this long but high-level explanation takes us finally to our Q&A session. And let me check. We have some questions in our Q&A box. Let me pick some of these. What is the lifespan of those tags used in the use cases, especially used for tires in tire lifespan? Yes, so tire tag is a good example. We have developed that in collaboration with Michelin, and it's designed to withstand the whole tire life cycle. And for passenger cars, that's one life cycle, then you throw them to recycling. For truck and bigger tires, they actually have several life cycles, you could call them. They go through retreading process. And this tag, it's designed to withstand all of this. So even though tire goes through the retreading process, it's still readable when it comes back to the recycling. The good back use case also that I had, it's been there for many years, and we see tags surviving. I would say up to a decade. It's not a surprise that RFID tags survive a decade. There's a lot of our older tags, BeyondTag tags in the field that are more than 10 years old. Do you need a tag that survives 10 years? Then that's a question that we would need to dive a bit deeper into when we select the tag for you. There's one question: how many tags you recommend on a single returnable transport item? This 100% depends on the RTI type, and one tag per container, it might be enough, but generally 2 tags are recommended so that you can ensure that there's one tag always on the side where the reader antenna is located, no matter what's the orientation of the RTI. And this 2 tags per container, that's also a recommendation by VDA, German Association for Automotive Industry. There's a question: for such a long read range of rain RFID up to 20 meters, how do you avoid crosstalk or reading problem? That's a very good question, and it's actually a very important point to consider when you design your whole system, whole setup. And I would recommend bringing some system integrator that is familiar with the application that you have. There are ways to do this mechanically. You can have antennas that have more narrow reading field. You don't read everything. You read from certain direction. There's ways to isolate RF signals. They don't go through metals, for example. You can adjust the reader powers accordingly. You don't always need to shout with the full power to get the 20-meter read range. You can reduce the volume in a way and just have 2 meters of read range. So there's a lot of adjustments you can do with the setup. The tag is what it is, and there's not much you can do with the tag itself, but the reader, the infrastructure, the reader antenna, that's where you make the difference and avoid the cross reading. There's a question: do you have any sensor UHF RFID tags that detect temperature, pressure, and so on? We do have sensor tags, and I would be happy to get back to you after the slide set. We have, for example, the tire tag with sensor chip. You can measure temperature inside the tire. during its use. You have some label options for temperature and strain, so that you can measure the mechanical changes of the item that you are tagging. We can get back to that in more details. Also, a question on the railway applications. There's actually a lot we have. I know Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, Argentina, Brazil. At least these countries are using our IronSight Classic to track the railway wagons. The one in Finland, for obvious reason, I know quite well, and I know that it's been there for more than a decade. Someone asked about the tag lifetime. I still see the very same BeyondTag tag on those train wagons that I saw a decade ago. So that's a good example of what RFID tag can withstand. You can imagine all the vibration of the train, flying rocks, temperature changes. In Finland, it can get plus 30 during the summer, but it can also get minus 30 during the winter. So it's pretty harsh environment. But that's quite common use case also for RFID railway tagging. There's a question why all tags are not working globally. In a nutshell, there's two main RFID frequencies in use. We call them EDSI, for Europe, and FCC for US. All the other countries, they are using one of these bands. We also have global and regional tags in our portfolio. The benefit of having a global tag is that you are able to read it anywhere in the world with pretty much the same performance. And then the benefit of regional tag, on the other hand, would be that it's really optimized for that certain region. So if I design a tag which is optimized for Europe, I would get better performance in this region. And then it would not read at all, or it would read very poorly in US region, for example. So those are the two options that you can have, and we have both of them in our portfolio. Could you please provide us a standardized list of available tags along with a brief description of how each type can be used? Yes, we have a brochure and we have a good website that has all these products described, including use cases of those. We can get back to you with some materials.
Maybe to that question, there are similar questions on specific projects and requirements, asking for suitable tags. I think for this kind of questions, the time won't be enough to answer all of those today, but feel free to reach out to us. I mean, we are available on LinkedIn. I hope marketing, maybe we can share some contacts directly to marketing or to us, so that our customers can reach out to us basically and go through those specific requirements. I think it definitely makes sense to take this offline. So apologize that we're not able to answer all those specific questions here in this meeting.
Yeah, 5 more minutes for questions. There's one: how to tackle Chinese tags. Do you have any arguments how to convince customers to avoid ordering from Alibaba and so on? Please go. Competition is good, and I would recommend you to test those, and then we can discuss. So, of course, quality is super important for BeyondTag. We have been designing these tags for more than 2 decades, having references and experience what works, what not. And that's something that we have seen our customers appreciating quite high. Competition in general is very good. There's a lot of good products in the market. Will you get support? Will you get the quality that you need, especially for automotive industry where the quality standards are super high? Then that's the question that I would raise.
There is one question around samples. So yes, absolutely, we can discuss with you certain projects or need for specific products. And based on that, we can share samples that you can test before basically moving forward with any orders for sure. Because this is also what we recommend before, even though if we say this tag could be, let's say, suitable for this kind of applications, it's crucial that it's really tested in the real environment, because every environment, every use case is a little bit different from the other. So it's very important to test, and for sure we can support you, and generally we support our customers with a certain number of free of charge samples that to start with. So for sure, yes, the answer.
Exactly. Are there kind of multi-band tags that are able to work worldwide in both frequencies? I think this we described, if you mean both frequencies by ETSI and FCC, yes, we have a lot of global tags in our portfolio, and this information can also be found from the website. If by multi-band you mean NFC and UHF, then yes, also to that. So we have products where we combine NFC and UHF. And for example, this railway application that someone mentioned, there's a lot of benefit if you have both of these technologies in the same tag, because then the people on some remote station, they can go and they can just read the same data using mobile phone through NFC than what would be read when the train is driving 160 kilometers an hour bypassing a reader. So you have access to the same data through RAIN technology or through NFC technology. So this is also possible. And we also have BLE, RAIN combined tags, BLE, NFC. So all these three technologies that we mentioned, they are very complementary, and some of our customers, they want to use two of them, for example, for different reasons. And if that's the case, then we have an offering also for that. Do you have high temperature tags used in car paint job production line? Yes, we mentioned the Volvo use case earlier. That's exactly what this is. So our tag is the first component attached on a Volvo car, and then goes through the paint job cycle, electrolyte baths, the whole process of 200 plus Celsius, and is still readable after the production. This would be in the heat wave family. What is the exposure time of your heat wave tag? If you look at our data sheet, we have quite specific temperature and time specification written there publicly, so you can see if the tag meets the time that your application would need. But if you talk about, let's say, 200 Celsius, you can put tag for hours or several cycles into this kind of temperatures. Which tag would you recommend for tracking pallets in a brewery? We are happy to get back to this. I'd like to understand a bit more what kind of pallets, wood and plastic, are we talking about here, so we can help with that specifically.
Looking at the time, we'll probably. So first of all, thank you for those high number of questions. This I very appreciated, and this shows that the topic is really relevant, and it's well perceived by our customers. We won't be able to answer all those questions, unfortunately, looking at the time, but we will be answering those offline, and I think sharing this in a way or another. So please be ensured that we will be coming back to you on those questions. In parallel or either way, please also reach out to us anytime. We'll be sharing some way to contact us, and we can basically take those discussions and specific requirement or questions more offline, which gives you basically the better answer to your questions. Okay, I think we are more or less
on time.
Are on time at time. So yeah, final words, Miika?
No, just like you said, thank you for all the questions, and one more time, thank you for your time, and thank you for joining joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate
Bye.
it. Let's keep in touch. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.